She called the cops and screamed, "Arrest her! She doesn't belong here!" Karen's voice echoed across the cul-de-sac, her sun visor tilted like a crown. Two men in cheap uniforms stepped out of a black SUV, badges flashing under the porch light. My wife didn't even flinch. She folded her arms, standing firm at the gate. "I told you once already," she said slowly, "I'm not in your HOA. You don't control me." Karen smirked, waving her phone as if it were a royal decree. "Oh, you will be controlled. Officers, remove her. She's trespassing." The so-called cops walked closer, heavy boots crunching gravel, but something about them felt wrong. Too nervous, too sloppy. Their badges didn't shine the way real ones did. One even avoided eye contact. My stomach twisted, but my wife, she only raised an eyebrow, like she was watching children play dress-up. Karen strutted forward, snapping, "This is HOA property, and she's squatting on it. Take her away before she causes trouble." The taller fake cop cleared his throat. "Ma'am, you'll need to step aside." That's when my wife's calm voice cut through the tension. "Before you embarrass yourselves, maybe you should check who actually owns this land." Karen froze. "What are you talking about?" My wife reached into her folder, pulling out a document with bold black letters and a stamped seal. She didn't wave it dramatically. She just held it steady, like a weapon. And the way the fake cops glanced at each other told me they knew. They'd just walked into the wrong fight.
Karen's laugh came out sharp and shaky like glass cracking. "Nice try," she sneered, pointing at the paper. "That's fake. Everyone knows the HOA owns this street. She's just making things up." But my wife didn't argue. She didn't even look at Karen. Instead, she took one small step closer to the fake cops. Her voice dropped low, steady, almost daring them. "Badge numbers. Say them out loud." The shorter one stiffened, his hand brushing the cheap leather holster on his belt. The taller one muttered, "Ma'am, you need to comply, or what?" She cut him off, eyes narrowing. "Because if you were real officers, you'd know something. This entire HOA headquarters building," she turned slightly, gesturing to the smug Karen's home behind her, "is sitting on my property." The silence hit like thunder. Karen's face drained of color. "That's ridiculous," she snapped. "You can't—" But before she could finish, she slid another page free. This time it was a deed stamped by the county clerk's office. My eyes caught the line in bold. "Lot 7, Block A, title holder, my wife's name." The fake cops froze. One actually took a step back, muttering under his breath. Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the papers, but my wife pulled them back calmly. "You called fake cops on the actual owner of your precious HOA. So tell me, Karen, who's trespassing now?" Karen's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. For the first time, she looked small. And that's when headlights appeared at the end of the street, another car rolling in, slower, steadier. This one wasn't a black SUV. It was a white and blue patrol cruiser. The real police had just arrived. Karen's face twisted as the real cruiser pulled up, red and blue lights flashing against her porch. She stumbled a step back, whispering, "No, no, no!" while the fake cops stiffened like statues caught in a spotlight. The real officer stepped out, calm but sharp-eyed, resting a hand on his duty belt. "Evening. Got a call about trespassing?" His gaze slid from Karen to the fake uniforms, then to my wife, who stood steady with the deed still in her hand. Karen rushed forward, her words tumbling over each other. "Yes, that woman is squatting on HOA land, and those are my officers!" The cop raised a hand, cutting her off. "Your officers?" He squinted, looking closer at the imposters. "Huh, funny. I don't recognize you. Which precinct are you with?" The taller fake cop's mouth opened, but nothing came out. The shorter one muttered, We
We were just leaving. But the real officer stepped in front of them. Not until I see badges. Real ones. Karen's voice cracked as she tried to cover for them. They're private security. Yes, private. I called them because she jabbed a finger at my wife. She's dangerous. My wife didn't move. She didn't need to. She simply extended the deed toward the real cop. This is county certified. I own the land your HOA president built her house on, and she sent these men to intimidate me. The officer took the paper, scanning it. His jaw tightened. Slowly, his eyes shifted back to Karen. Ma'am, if this document is real, you might be in a lot more trouble than she is. Karen's face flushed beet red, sweat gathering under her visor. That can't be right. I run this HOA. Everyone answers to me. But the officer only shook his head. Not if you've been running it on land that isn't even yours. He turned to the fake cops. And you two, don't move. Impersonating an officer is a felony. The street was dead silent, except for Karen's shallow breathing. Neighbors' blinds twitched as faces peered out, watching her empire crumble in real time. And then, in the faint glow of the cruiser lights, my wife leaned in and whispered just loud enough for Karen to hear. Funny thing about power, it doesn't mean much when you're standing on someone else's ground.
Karen's hands trembled as she tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out hollow, shaky. This is insane! You can't just show a piece of paper and… The real officer cut her off, holding the deed up under his flashlight. County seal, official record number, it checks out. He looked at Karen with a stare that stripped away all her smugness. Ma'am, you've been running an HOA on land you don't even own. The neighbors started murmuring from their porches, the whispers spreading like wildfire. One man muttered, "Wait, does that mean all our fees?" Another woman gasped, clutching her robe. "She's been taking our money for years." Karen spun on them, her voice screeching. "Don't listen to her. I'm your president. I've kept this community safe." But the shorter fake cop blurted out, desperate, "She paid us to scare her off. That's all. We didn't know she owned the land." The street went dead quiet. Karen's mouth dropped open as betrayal flashed in her eyes. "You idiots! Shut up!" The officer stepped closer, jaw tight. "So not only are you impersonating law enforcement, but you," he pointed at Karen, "are guilty of conspiracy, fraud, maybe even extortion." Karen stumbled back, shaking her head, muttering, "No, this isn't happening." Her neighbors weren't quiet anymore. Voices rose, angry, disgusted. "All those fines she gave us. She towed my car for nothing. My kid's bike got taken." The mob's anger was turning, and Karen, she was alone. Meanwhile, my wife stayed calm, just watching. She didn't raise her voice, didn't gloat. She only said one thing, soft but cutting. "You should have picked a different enemy." Karen snapped, her face twisting, and screamed at the officer, "Arrest her! Arrest her!" But this time, the cop didn't move toward my wife. He stepped forward and reached for Karen's wrists.
Karen thrashed against the cuffs, her voice high and broken. "You can't do this to me! I am the HOA! I control everything here!" The officer's voice was steady, almost cold. "Not anymore. You've been conning this entire neighborhood, and the county records don't lie." He nodded toward the fake cops, who now looked pale as ghosts. "And you three are going downtown tonight." The neighbors, once afraid to speak, stepped closer now. A man in a faded baseball cap shouted, "You drained our savings with fake fence violation fees." Another woman yelled, "You threatened to evict my parents on land you didn't even own." The anger swelled, a wave of voices finally unleashed. Karen whipped her head toward my wife, eyes blazing with pure hate. "This is your fault! You destroyed everything I built!" My wife tilted her head slightly, her expression calm but razor-sharp. "You built nothing, Karen. You stole. And you thought no one would check who actually held the ground under your feet. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that still carried through the quieting street. That's the difference between power and paper. I had both. For the first time, Karen looked small, powerless. The officer led her toward the cruiser, her neighbors watching silently. The fake cops shuffled behind, their fake badges confiscated, their heads down in shame. That's when the officer turned back, handing my wife her documents. Ma'am, this deed doesn't just make you a property owner, it makes you the legal authority over the HOA itself. Technically, he paused, his lips twitching into something almost like a smile, you are the HOA. Gasps rippled through the neighbors, eyes widened. Karen froze mid-struggle, her face going white. And my wife? She slipped the papers back into her folder with a steady hand, her words deliberate, sharp, unforgettable. Then I guess I just fired Karen. The crowd erupted, cheers, laughter, clapping that echoed down the street. Karen's screams were swallowed by the slam of the cruiser door.